All right, so today's video, this is going to be a basement bodybuilding classic. Today I'm going over some more mindset stuff. The Lifter's Survival Guide, whatever I'm going to title this. This is basically going to be a guide to your lifting career, and I'm going to give a couple different examples of the transformation mentally that I've had when I first started lifting all the way up till now, where I'm still in the middle of my lifting career. I want to go over certain mindsets that I used to have that used to be diminishing my gains, and how I've overcome that mindset, and how lifting has actually improved my mindset and changed my attitude and developed it in these certain ways that I never thought would even be possible. So this video is a little bit more than just lifting. It's going to be the mindset that we have towards our lifting and how that can obviously apply to other areas of life. So for people that think that mindset is not as important as understanding programming and the physical things in the gym, you're mistaken, because the gym is just, lifting is a day in, day out battle, and you can be the strongest person mentally and physically. It's still a grind. It's never going to be easy. So understanding these principles and giving you guys some legit insight into my transformation in terms of my mindset, I think that's going to provide a lot of value, especially to you guys that are maybe a little bit younger, or you guys that are just in a bad spot when it comes to your lifting and maybe you've fallen off the wagon a little bit. So with that being said, let's dive right to it, shall we? So first one that I've got, intro to the video. Are you prepared to face adversity? Are you prepared to make difficult decisions in moments of weakness? The decision to start lifting is made in a moment of strength, but that isn't the only decision you'll need to make. There will be a continuous flow of difficult decisions you need to make throughout your lifting career. These moments of adversity stay the same throughout your entire lifting career, but as you go, you get better at handling each situation. The first thing you can do to set yourself up for success when it comes to lifting is make a schedule, have a routine. The best athletes, the most successful people have set schedules and set routines. And I know it sounds extremely simple. It sounds like the stupidest little thing ever, but this is something that even I overlooked forever. My mindset with this was that, why do you need a routine? If you're a strong-willed and you're a mentally tough person, you'll be able to get through it anyways. But the reality is, the best athletes, most successful people, they have a very specific routine that they do for everything that they do that is important to them. So you should be the same. I encourage you to set up your schedule, set yourself up to be able to prioritize lifting and what you find important in your life. I want to dive into 3 different moments of adversity where I transitioned from a weak mindset to a strong mindset that I currently have, and that's why I'm still lifting. That's why I'm still successful and having a great lifting career so far. I want to go through these 3. I'm going to give the kind of epitome of my weak mindset, some of these weaker thoughts that I used to have all the time and that still creep in every now and then overcoming that when I actually thought about these things and honestly just learned them through lifting. The first one that I want to get to is going to be about skipping a session. The trait that this is going to tackle is going to be your judgment and your perception. The weak mindset when it comes to skipping a session, let's say you're in a situation when you're kind of deciding if you should skip that training session. Obviously, it comes down to judgment and your perception. The weak mindset is using the big picture as a reason not to train. And this is myself. I catch myself having thoughts such as, will it matter in 5 years that I skipped this training session? And did the session I missed 5 years ago actually affect my progress? This is something that used to plague my mindset, and that still creeps in every now and then. But I've largely overcome this through the stronger mindset that I've actually developed over the years. The strong mindset here, the reality is that these are both valid questions, the ones I just asked about 5 years in the future and 5 years in the past. They're both valid questions, but the problem is that they become invalid when you ask yourself those questions more than once. And this is something that I failed to realize for a long time, because now you're skipping more sessions. If this is a regular mindset you have, now the question should be, will it matter in 5 years if I skip a session each week for those 5 years? And now that the answer to that question changes significantly. Developing the ability to view your training in the short term and the long term, you need to be able to have the proper judgment in these moments of weakness to make the right call. So as you form your lifting structure, your mindset, your routine. Those difficult decisions become more rare, but they never go away no matter how perfect your routine and your mindset is. You need to have the right judgment on, is this a moment of weakness where I'm deciding to skip a session because I want to? Is this a situation where I set myself up for failure and that could have been prevented by setting myself up to actually be able to execute that training session? Or is this a one-off situation where I'm going to one specific event that happens once in my life? Or did some random thing come up for the first time in a year? Your judgment and your perception and your ability to make quick decisions, you have to be decisive with this stuff, and you have to have the right mindset going into that because you won't be prepared for it. This isn't something like, let me plan out my next 10 years of training when I know exactly the career and lifestyle that I have. This is something came up last minute. What's the right call? It's an emotional decision. And if you can set yourself up for success by having the right mindset and having that strong mindset like I talked about, you're building your chances. And I'm not just talking about fixing one training session. This is something where if that weak mindset creeps into your head 1, 2, 3 times a week, that can be up to half of your training that you can fix for the rest of your life. So I strongly urge you to take this into consideration and actually think about it. Don't just let me spoon feed the stuff to you. Pause the video, think about it, write some of this stuff down, incorporate it into your mindset each day. And as much as I can tell you guys about this mindset stuff, like, you're just going to forget this video if you don't actually try and implement this stuff. Like, take some of this advice and actually do something with it. That's another mistake I made, right? Watch videos, consume information thinking that it would just solve all my problems, but I didn't do anything about it. So please take my advice and actually do something with it. That's going to make the legitimate difference that you've been searching for so long. Number 2, this is going to be a similar one, but a little bit more specific. This is going to be stopping a set early, maybe shaving a couple sets off the end of your training session. And the trait that you need to develop here is going to be your commitment. You need to be all in. You need to go both feet in, full commitment to your training. The weak mindset that I've had in terms of commitment in the past, using other people as a reference, and I'm talking specifically about stopping a set early here, and comparing myself to people who respond well to easier training. I've had thoughts in my head in the past like, oh, the science says 2 reps in reserve is all you need. I can probably stop my set here. And X lifter is big and doesn't train as hard as me. I'm training too hard. I don't need to train this hard. So this is where I'd compare myself to a genetically gifted lifter, whether it's my friend or another influencer or whatever. I'd compare myself to someone that's basically going to respond to anything, or someone that's on PEDs, or some random study where the RIR isn't even accurate on untrained lifters. And I'm not even when I wasn't even familiar with the science or literature. These are little thoughts that would creep into my head mid-set, and I had to overcome this because I was stopping sets early. Like, this is why I stayed so small in certain muscle groups, because yeah, like, I'd shave off my tricep training. I'd stop my curls early because do curls really do anything? Do they really matter? 2 reps in reserve is all I need. Do I really need to push to muscular failure? Why not technical failure? Little things like this that just kind of blur your vision of what you actually need to do. That's that weak mindset that I had for so long that was plaguing my training. And this one I've pretty much overcome. Obviously, it's not completely gone, but these instances are a lot more rare than they used to be. But I do want to dive into my stronger mindset that I've built over the years for this one. So the reality here, and this is the strong mindset, is that the lifters who get away with easier training are either genetic outliers or on PEDs, and myself and the majority of you guys don't fall into either of those categories. So this is something that I've had to develop, and overcoming this, it comes from accountability. When you hold yourself accountable, it's much easier to actually commit to something because you're getting feedback on the results. And if you're not getting the right feedback, like, you have to make a commitment to get that feedback that you're looking for. You're going to drive yourself crazy and drive yourself into a downward spiral if you don't actually do this. So when I started tracking my results and measuring my muscles, weighing myself, taking progress photos, looking at my training logs and writing stuff down, that's the accountability that you need. That's the stuff that actually helps you commit to your training. When I'm sitting here knowing that today's October 31st, I have measurements due tomorrow, November 1st, do you think I've been half-assing this month? No, because I'm holding myself accountable by actually taking measurements tomorrow morning. So yeah, it makes your training a little bit more complex, a little bit more nerve-wracking, but this is the stuff that actually gets you off your ass, gets you moving, gets you steered in the right direction. So some form of accountability is going to be huge, whether it's a coach or whether it's yourself holding yourself accountable. Either of these work well as long as you actually stick to it and get that stuff done. Number 3, and this is the best one in my opinion. This is probably the most important one. So if you've stuck this far to the video, much appreciated. This is your reward for that. This is going to be getting complacent in your lifting and your knowledge related to your lifting. This is going to be the weak mindset I start off with that I used to have, and that took me a long time to get out of. I was very complacent as a lifter and in my knowledge for kind of a long time, when deep down I was not complacent at all. I was just getting a little bit lazy, and I had very dogmatic beliefs that I was so stuck in my ways, and that kept me plateaued for so long, and I eventually would just tell myself that I'm okay with where I'm at, that I know everything, so I wouldn't have to continue to learn and continue to make progress in terms of physique and in terms of mindset. And this plateaued my results instantly, and it stopped me. Like, you don't want to be in that spot. The weak mindset, the belief that most of your gains are in the past, and that your productive time is heavily biased towards the beginning of your lifting career. This mindset includes vague lifting philosophies like just train hard or just get stronger, or don't worry about the details, they won't make a difference. I still see that one in the comments on this channel. Why do you worry about the details? They don't actually make a difference. Just lift, bro. Like, okay, well, why are all the best lifters and the biggest natural bodybuilders detail oriented, and why are they all way smarter than you and me and everybody else? They're the best for a reason, and it didn't happen by accident. The best of the best know what they're doing, and they know why they're doing it. That you can't debate that. It's just a fact. The strong mindset here, actually, to finish off on that weak mindset. So for this one, this is why the natural limit, and shout out to Natural Hypertrophy for introducing this mindset to a lot of people, and even helping myself out a ton with this one. I think he did a great job, so shout out to him. Go check out his channel if you haven't. But having that weak mindset of getting complacent, holding these specific dogmatic beliefs, that the logical, self-preserving conclusion that you come to is that you're at your natural limit. And I'm not trying to argue that there is no natural limit at all. What I'm trying to say here is that you're halfway there. You're nowhere close to it. I thought I was at my natural limit at 15 3/4 inch arms, and I think that's absurd looking back at that. The strong mindset here. This is what I want to finish the video on. A strong mindset is a humbled one that realizes it understands less as it learns more. As your knowledge grows, so does your potential for knowledge. So if you think there are 100 things you need to know about training, as soon as you learn the first 50, you realize there's 200 things you need to know. Why is Siri on here? My bad. I don't think I said Siri, whatever. As soon as you learn the first 50 out of 100. Okay, Siri, stop. My bad, everybody.
Okay, I found.
Shut up. So, all right, this is ridiculous, but there's 100 things you need to know about lifting. As soon as you learn your first 50, this is absurd. Siri, stop. I'm going to try and keep a straight face here, but let's say there's 50 things that you know out of the first 100. Once you learn 50, you realize there's 200 things you need to know. Once you learn 100, you realize that there's 300 things you need to know. And as you learn more, you realize your potential is even farther in terms of your physique and in terms of your knowledge. So While newbie gains are a thing, and while some of us, if everything goes perfectly to plan, we do tend to make our best gains earlier in our lifting career, in most cases, this isn't the case. In most cases, even if you're set up well, there can even be one little thing holding you back. So this belief that you make all your gains right at the start, not always the case, and don't limit yourself to that, even if it ends up being the case. Like, sure, maybe you did make your best gains in your first 3 years when you're old and looking back at it. Is that a spider? I'm getting crazy interrupted right now, but whatever. I'm too distracted. I'm going to leave the video at that. I hope you guys learned a bit. Let me know if you have any questions or anything in the comments. I'd love to hear your take.